Hello my beautiful crafty friends, I'm Katia with Lunar Sun Creations. Today we are going to be working with some alcohol inks and some masking fluid. So I've got some Pinata and some Ranger alcohol inks in Blue Violet, Laguna, Baja Blue, and Raspberry. I've got a few little felt pads that I cut out to put on the end of an ink dauber. And then I've got some masking solution. This one's from PBO. And then I have some homemade blending solution that is just isopropyl alcohol and a couple drops of glycerin. And then we'll also need an old paintbrush, because whatever paintbrush you're going to use is probably going to get a little bit gummed up from the masking fluid. You can, rinse it out, but it's not going to come fully out. So get a paintbrush that you're not super fond of. I'm just using one that I got at the dollar store, so I'm not overly concerned about it. We'll be working on some craft plastic today, which is it's just a plastic, it's a substrate that will allow alcohol ink to go on, but also be taken off. Okay, so to begin, I am going to take one of my daubers with some foam on it, and I'm going to use the Laguna and the Baja Blue and just put a few drops of each onto my dauber. And then put a little bit of blending solution on there, and then just go to town daubing on your paper. Now you've probably seen me do this before. This is very much a go-to technique for me. I just love the texture and pattern that it gives, and it's just so simple. And sometimes simple is just what your brain needs. So simple is what we're doing. And you can add more ink if you need to add more ink, if you need more coverage. Okay, fabulous, that looks great. Actually, I'm gonna go in one more time with just a little bit more, I think. I want a little bit more color, a little bit more definition. So I'm gonna go in one more time. I'm gonna put a little bit less of the solution on there. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted a little bit more kind of almost looking like bubbles. Okay, great. There's a close-up of that. All right, so I'm gonna let that completely dry. Okay, while we're waiting for that other one to dry, I'm just gonna show you something else in the same vein, but a little bit different. So I've already made a panel using the same technique that I just showed you, but with different colors. I'm taking a tiny bit of masking fluid and putting it in a container beside me. And then I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm going to draw a design. I'm just going to do a bunch of really simple leaves here. So now I'm just going to let that all dry. Okay, so this is dry now. I'll bring this one back in. And now I'm going to take a stencil. I think I'm going to use this Moroccan stencil. And I'm going to tape it down. Okay, and now I'm going to take a wider paintbrush, and I'm going to paint over the stencil. You'll be able to take the masking fluid off the stencil. But I'm going to try not to get minimal underneath the stencil. There might be a few places that go under, but that's okay. It'll give it a little bit of a grungy look. Okay, and you should be able to see the masking fluid, when you tilt this in the light, it will give a little bit of a shininess. I think I've got them all. I don't know why I went in such a random pattern in the beginning. I'm going to take the stencil off. And I don't know if it's going to pick it up. Oh, there we go. So you should be able to see. Oh, it looks like I missed one entirely in there. Oh well, you know what? That's okay. I know I won't be able to line it up again perfectly, so I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so I'm gonna rinse my stencil off and let this dry, and then I'll show you what to do with both panels. Okay, so this one's all dry. So now I'm gonna go in with a darker color. This is Evergreen or Everglade, something like that. So darker green anyway. And I'm gonna go in again, and I'm just gonna go over top of the entire thing because we've got the masking fluid now on the leaves, so that is protecting them. So I'm just gonna go all over, and this is gonna kind of mix with the color that is underneath a little bit, except for where we've masked, of course. I'm looking for like a sun through the canopy kind of vibe. Okay, so now I'm gonna let that dry. Okay, and then this one, is it dry? It's the tiniest bit tacky, but I'm gonna risk it. So for this one, I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol. This is 91% alcohol. I'm just going to run some isopropyl alcohol along the top and let it run down. And everywhere that we have masked should stay put, and then the rest should come off the page. And I didn't do a perfect masking job by any means. I should have been a little bit more careful, but it's still, we'll be able to use enough of this to make a card for sure. Isn't that cool? So now you've got like all that alcohol ink beautiness in a pattern that is hard to get when you're just using alcohol inks, because they just kind of do what they want to do and go everywhere. So this gives you, if you did a little bit more carefully with the masking fluid, you could get a much more precise pattern. But okay, awesome. I'm going to set this one aside. Let's grab our leaves. Is the alcohol dry now? I think so. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. So I'm just going to use my finger to remove the masking fluid, and everywhere that I drew those leaves should be the color that is underneath. Oh, this is such a satisfying process, the removing of this masking fluid. And it will just peel off. And obviously I did a very rough, loose sketch of leaves. You could use the pen. I had planned on using the pen and doing a much more detailed drawing, but I decided to just do some abstract leaves instead. So I realized that probably not everyone's gonna have the pen itself, so oh, isn't this looking cool? Okay, I think that's all of them. Isn't that cool how you have like a pattern and a pattern? And I mean, you could take it a step further and do a little bit of like draw around the leaves or give it another layer of something. So if you wanted to mask something else off again and do another color of alcohol ink, you could totally do that. So isn't that cool? So got these two panels, and I wanted to show you one more thing before we moved on, just because it's fun. And it's not using masking fluid, it's just something that I think is fun. So I've got a panel that I just did with some purple ink, the same way that we've been doing with the daubers. I've got some my isopropyl alcohol in a fine tip bottle, and I'm just going to draw some quick swirls and get my paper towel ready and blot the swirls. I need some new paper towel, hang on. And I'm going to just create some patterns and immediately put the paper towel on it, and that will stop it from spreading too much. I didn't get that one in time. Okay, I'm just gonna redo this one because it's too big and I don't like it. So I'm just going to put a couple drops of my ink back on here. You can keep it just like that, or I'm just gonna get a new felt pad and I'm gonna put a little bit of the Guna and maybe a little tiny bit of pink. So you can leave it just like this, or you could go over where you've just done your design. And as it mixes with the purple, it creates like whole other colors. And you can obviously go in with a smaller dauber as well. I think it's so much fun. Okay, I'm just gonna do one more of these little swirls here. Yeah, that's better. And do that same kind of design. All right, so that is just another little fun thing. It creates so much cool texture. I just love all the little bubbly bits that you get. So now I'm just going to clean up my little area a bit, and then I'm going to create some cards with these. So on this one, I've decided that I'm going to use a gold paint pen, and I'm going to kind of do a rough trace of each of these just to kind of define them a little bit more, because some of them are a little janky because I wasn't as careful as I should have been and patient enough to do a more slow, methodical approach to my stenciling. But I kind of like it, actually. I kind of like the slightly grungy kind of vibe to it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go around all of these and I'll be right back. So I've just used an oval nesting die to cut out some ovals, and I'm going to put an oval on one of these. I don't show the die cutting because my die cutter is like all the way across the room. I don't have an outlet here that would allow me to bring it over here, so that's why I don't show the die cutting on screen. Okay, so I'm just going to use the largest of the nesting dies. I've already got it backed on some like wide score tape. Just trying to decide which part I want it to go over. I think I'm going to have it going like that. Okay, if you haven't seen my tips and tricks for batch making cards, this is one of the tricks, is to have score tape already on the back as you cut things, and then it's much easier to adhere them. And if you're going to cut one frame, you might as well cut a bunch of frames at the same time and use them on later projects. Okay, so now I'm going to cut around this. Okay, I'll use the rest of that for something else later. All right, so I'm going to adhere this to a card base, but I'm going to use a few little ferns and leaves and such as well, and just glue a few of these kind of coming out from behind in different places. Maybe a few going over the top too. So I'm just going to kind of figure out where I want a couple of those to go, and I'm going to glue them down. Okay, so I've just got a little tiny bead of glue on the back of that. I think I'm going to outline this in gold, just because I didn't do a perfect cutting job and I kind of want to hide that fact just a little bit, and this will do that. And make it look intentional. There we go. So I've got my little plant life there. I've got a couple random sentiments that I've previously stamped, and I've got adhesive on the back. So I think I'm going to go with inhale positivity, exhale negativity. Just going to cut that down a little bit. So I've got my little sentiment on some foam tape. So I'm just going to put that down onto my card. Somewhere near the bottom. That. And then I've got a couple little monarch butterfly stickers that I think I'm going to add on there as well. Okay, just going to trim off that little bit. And there is card 1. Card 2 is going to be this one here. So I've got another nesting die frame already on my panel. I'm going to put that onto my card base. Just going to smooth it out so it's in all of the, right to the edges. Okay, fabulous. Okay, so for this one, I put Stay Strong, some more, it's another little die cut sentiment thing that I had in my ready to go cutouts drawer. And I think I'm just gonna do a butterfly again, just because I'm in a flutterby kind of mood. And so that's what I'm doing. All right, and that one's done. And for the third one, again, keeping it real simple, I've just die cut this butterfly die with the frame attached to it, put it onto the one that we did the swirls on, and I'm just going to put that on a card base with a sentiment, bada bing, bada boom, Dunskies. Zuri is trying to tell me that it is dinner time. I hear you, buddy. I'm almost done. Zuri is my cat, for anyone who is just tuning in. Both of my cats are in here with me right now, trying to make me move faster because they want dinner. Okay, so there it is on the card base. Again, I'm just going to use a pre-existing sentiment. Or do I even need a sentiment on this one? You know what? I might not even... I don't even think I'm going to put one on there. I think I like it just the way it is, actually. Simple. Maybe I should just put some little gemstones in the centers of the butterflies, though. I think I'm going to put some Nouveau glaze over top of the butterflies, just to make them kind of stand out A little more, make them all shiny shimma shimma. I guess I could have just done the holes of the butterflies, but I decided to do the whole thing. I make a lot of this stuff up on the fly. I don't pre-plan. Well, I mean, to an extent, I suppose. I have an idea that I want to try, but for the most part, I'm just like free-flowing with it, figuring things out as I go, really. Okay. Great, when that dries, that's gonna be beautiful. Okay, so there's that one, and then we've got that one there, and that one there. So there are our cards for the day. I hope you've enjoyed this and will give it a try. There's so many things you can do with masking fluid. It's a very, very cool kind of medium, and alcohol inks are just always fun to play with. So I hope you will give it a shot, and I hope you are having a beautiful day, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye!